Yeah, you're blatantly recording with your microphone this time compared to last time when you blatantly weren't. And, excuse me.
Can you tell just listening
Yeah,
to it?
exactly. And as I said,
no background noise.
when one of us hears the other one sounding a bit off, we got to really flag it and go, hey, that doesn't sound right.
Basically, what you're saying is be less British about it.
I find that is going to...
I better not say anything.
No,
I'm sure he's noticed.
I'm sure he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. It's fine. Just deal with it later on. It'll be fine.
I mean, it will only ruin the entire podcast. It's fine.
But it's better than ruining one's mood.
Welcome to Late of the Rings, a podcast dedicated to Lord of the Rings, the card game. My name's John, and here's my co-host. He promises me he's got his microphone connected. It's Emery.
That's not from Lord of the Rings.
No, but it was. It's now it's now canon because we released it.
I think you're thinking of something from the extended versions, extras.
Behind the scenes, Emma's just discovered his cable is not plugged in.
I think what you're making a reference to there, John, is the poor sound quality on my end of the chat last time. And it was, I was going to use the Gimli line of, that was deliberate, but that would be a clear lie.
Well, I thought I better bring it up immediately. I mean, it is the Oliphant in the room, isn't it?
That's one hell of a room. But yeah, so apologies to our listener there. That was entirely my fault.
And it is ironic because there was a little bit of conversation on the Board Game Geek thread about a few compliments for the sound quality, and I was discussing with some listeners about what microphones we use and how we use different setups, but how we are both very, very keen on the quality of our sound. So,
we tempted fate, and fate dealt its hand immediately.
Well, lessons learned. We'll hopefully that won't happen again. But anyway, as you can hear, we are back a lot sooner than we were previously. I mean, this is all dependent, of course, if I manage to get this edited and released in time, because who knows? But in theory, you're hearing this relatively close to the last episode, as we promised and as we intend to do. So yeah, great. So what have you been up to in this very short amount of time between recordings?
Wow, what have I been? So it hasn't been that long. It's only been a few days, really. We've still got a bit of sunshine here at the moment, so I'm just trying to make the most of that. It seems like, so our usual sort of lockdown updates, it seems like we're on the verge of kind of going back into some kind of lockdown. We're about to tighten things up again for next week, all the rest of it. So just trying to get as much outside time as possible, because obviously the rule will be you're not allowed to leave the house.
Oh yeah, but this is the incredible thing, is that they announce that the rules are going to get much tighter, but they don't say it's going to happen now. It's not going to happen immediately. So you go, well, I've got a few days to run around outside then, infecting as many people as possible.
Yeah, get your parties in now. This is the big party. It's going to be the biggest party weekend in the UK this year, and then lockdown begins on Monday. It's just so typically British, isn't it? But so anyway, I've been very good though. I've actually been very cautious generally about things, as I think is, that's just my view on things. But I guess apart from that, what have I been doing? I think I mentioned a few weeks back that I'd got rid of a lot of my TV subscriptions and all of this, got rid of Sky TV and all of this stuff.
Oh yeah, you went very rock and roll, threw your TV out the window.
I did. Well, I'm not allowed to talk about that case, John.
My mistake, you phoned up a call centre and said, oh, can I please cancel my subscription? Slightly less rock and roll.
Was that the actual recording? It was. It was. I did get a Disney Plus subscription mainly to watch Mary Magdalene.
Mary Mandalorian.
Yes. Very important historical figure. Well, debatable, I guess, but let's not go there.
No.
That's a whole other chat. And I was about to get rid of that because I thought I really only got it to watch that, and I really enjoyed it actually. And I thought, well, I'll get rid of that. And then I found out that the next series actually starts like next month or something. So I thought, oh, okay, I may as well hold on to it then.
It's what they do.
It's what they do, right? I thought. And then I looked at myself and well, you got absolutely sucked in here, haven't you? But there it is.
But you're talking like you finished watching it a week ago. That didn't happen, did it?
No, that did not happen. I must have watched that 3 months ago, something like that. But what I did do then, so I had a look around, and I have actually watched a couple of the classic, like the real classic, cartoons, feature-length cartoons, for like Snow White and Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty and this kind of stuff.
Basil the Great Mouse Detective.
Yeah, I haven't got around to that one yet. And I hadn't seen those since I was, a child, really. And I just stuck on Snow. I think I might have mentioned this to you like a little while back. I stuck on Snow White. I thought I'd just to see what it's like, and I got completely sucked in. I was like a 6-year-old watching this thing, and then ended up watching Sleeping Beauty afterwards as well. I thought these things are just amazing. I'd forgotten how incredibly well made and well structured and how poetic they are. Oh yeah, it was amazing. I had a real moment watching a few of those. It was unbelievable.
No, those original cell animations from Disney are a step above the rest. They're incredible.
Oh.
I mean, I've seen Snow White many, many times, but I have a confession. I've never watched Sleeping Beauty.
Oh, well, that's something that has to change. That was probably the one I enjoyed the most.
Oh, well, rub it in.
No, I'm trying to make you excited. You've got all of this to come. It's like, that was glass half full versus glass half empty right there. You got that whole world to look forward to. That is okay. I won't say anything about that, but
no spoilers because
anyway.
I mean, who knows what might happen?
Don't tell John. The bad guys win. She never wakes up. Yeah. No, so, but yeah, it's just. I think there's something about the pacing of them which appeals to me as well. I guess I'm never really been a big sort of 100 miles an hour kind of loads of stuff on the screen kind of guy. And there's something about the pacing of them which just really kind of lulls you in, and you really can get into it. And actually, the dark bits are really, really dark.
Oh, yeah, they're really dark.
I forgot how scary it was.
Snow White. Oh, my goodness, there's some twisted things in that. And there's one other with like a real nightmarish... I mean, Fantasia has some really nightmarish imagery in it. I don't know if you've seen that little guy with the big ears who's cleaning up he's like a mouse or something. I don't know. That is horrendous.
Yeah, there was some halfling leaf and some Farmer Maggot's mushrooms going on when they were making Fantasia. There's no doubt about that. I haven't rewatched that one actually, so that's one I haven't seen since I was a kid. So the plan is, I'll watch all of these, right?
I'll watch the back catalogue of Disney, and then I'm getting rid of it.
Between now and when the next series of The Mandalorian starts. Okay. Then I'll watch The Mandalorian, and then I'll cancel the subscription. Sounds like a plan, right?
It's a good plan. No, but isn't the Obi-Wan Ben Kenobi series coming out?
What is that?
Ewan McGregor is doing an Obi-Wan series.
Oh, it's actually real. I thought my friend was joking. But a friend of mine mentioned that to me, like I think a few weeks ago. I thought it was a joke.
It's a weird joke. That here, I've got one for you. Ewan McGregor.
Ewan McGregor is doing a series as Obi-Wan Kenobi, a character he played 20 years ago, and it is set like before then. I mean, yeah, nice one.
No, it's not. It's set. Well, I was about to say it's set now. That would be weird.
It's set a long time ago. It depends how long ago.
No, but it's set. It's meant to be set. Yeah, but gets very strange if you start trying to work out the timeline. It's meant to be whatever it is, 20 years later.
So it's in between the prequels and Star Wars.
Yeah, but it can't be by much.
I thought it was before. From what my friend was saying, I thought it was from before even the prequels. No.
that doesn't make any sense.
No.
No, because if you look
Obi-Wan,
at...
he didn't exist.
No.
he was born an adult 10 minutes before they met the Trade Federation. Or whatever it was. Jeez, I can't.
Well, just remember that a disruption in communication can mean only one thing. It can mean only one thing. Invasion.
Invasion? Can't mean anything else.
Can't mean anything else. It can't mean that the phones are down. It can't mean that there's a power cut.
A power cut. Although that would be quite good.
It's still... I mean, I shouldn't find my own jokes so amusing, but it's still one of my favourite things to do whenever I can't get a signal on a phone, is just to look at it and say out loud, there's a disruption in communication. It can mean only one thing. Invasion.
Listener, me and John had a good laugh about this, didn't we? And it's become a bit of a running joke anytime there's any kind of communication disruption. But what was that originally from? Was that from the Phantom Menace?
Phantom Menace,
Was
yeah.
that from the start of that? Okay.
It's the Trade Federation on...
Oh, when they invade Naboo.
They're invading Naboo. Oh, no, they're not invading... No, hang on. No. The Trade Federation are invading Naboo, which in itself doesn't make any sense. Because...
That's what they do. They're Trade Federation.
Yeah, that's true.
I can't believe we've gone here.
No,
trying to explain what the hell happened in that film.
Okay, but they arrive and disrupt the communication. And then you've got the...
But it was invasion.
But yes!
So they were right.
Well, yeah. Well, they have to... It could mean only one thing.
Yeah. So I'm with that guy. I've gone 180 on this, John.
It's some counsellors sat well, of course they're sat, because that's all that happens in Phantom Menace. It's either people walking through corridors or sitting down having conversations. I mean, that's it. That's the film. And then one very cool lightsaber battle.
The lightsaber battle. What was that one?
It's with Darth Maul.
Oh, yeah. He got mauled. He was...
Spoilers.
Sorry. Take it out. He's quite good at... He has some really neat visuals in his stuff, George Lucas, which I always think is a bit of a shame he didn't direct more, because he's got a real flair for it.
But that is quite an understatement for the guy who invented Star Wars. He's got some quite neat visuals.
No, I mean cinematically, in the purest sense. The thing I remember from that lightsaber fight is not the fighting bit. It's the bit when he's waiting, when he got those pink laser screen.
Yeah. No, but that's great.
Amazing. Like that's just a perfect way to build tension, tell something about the characters, and look really great at the same time. That was really, great. I wish he directed more films, actually. It's a shame he kind of went down that rabbit hole of just...
Yeah, the thing
is... I say that. I mean, he's still got a good body of work,
I
mean,
I'm a big defender of George Lucas, but my thing is that I don't think he's a good director. That's the problem. He's a brilliant Imagineer, to take a Disney term, but he is a wonderful guy at creating worlds and creating characters. He's just not, in my humble opinion, I mean, I did not make Star Wars, but in my humble opinion, he is not great at actually directing actors and building scenes, but he has great ideas. I mean, if you just took his ideas for the prequel trilogy and gave them to a different director, I think, I mean, I'm a little bit of a prequel defender anyway, but that is a long discussion.
Okay. Well, I meant that more purely from I don't know what the correct term is, but like a really pure directing term. So taking out the way he deals with actors and all of that stuff, just the way he uses the camera. Like there's a couple of scenes in, what's it called? The sci-fi one with Robert Duvall.
THX?
THX 1138, yeah. Where there's a couple of really, really neat shots in that film, which is just really beautiful, just nothing to do with acting per se. It's just the way you're framing something. And I thought he's got real flair for that, and I think he never quite explored that enough, in my view. But there you go,
Well, actually, I think he did explore it in his early career, but it's weirdly sort of a happy accident that when he made that film, which I do think it is a good film. It feels a bit studenty, but in a quite sort of beautiful, naive way. But then he made American Graffiti, and I'm a big fan of American Graffiti.
Yeah, that's a great film, yeah.
But he, in my opinion, again, very humble opinion, he lucked out on having a brilliant set of cast for American Graffiti. I mean, he's got Richard Dreyfuss, he's got Harrison Ford. Who else was in that?
You know how bad I am with recalling names. So
Yeah,
you're asking the wrong guy.
He really did luck out on his cast. But he basically came with this idea of what he wanted to do is like the one sort of last night of youth before people went on their ways, and it's kind of like this loss of innocence film. And he blatantly said to the cast he didn't really know where he was going with it. And he said something that he really stuck to throughout his entire career, which is he was going to fix it in post-production, which really is how he took his attitude towards everything later.
And he's still doing it now.
Yeah, well, basically, he's desperately trying to fix everything. But he said, I'm going to put the camera right back and I'm just going to let it roll, and you're going to just sort of get from the beginning of the scene to the end of the scene, and then I will work out how it comes together in the edit. Okay? And because he did that, this is why I say I feel he's a bit lucky in this respect, but actually it could be seen as a very clever filmmaking technique. That film feels like a documentary. It feels like we're sort of observing it all playing out, and you know, it all sort of cuts together, and you're sort of catching a bit of the scene here, and it's all happening over there, and it's got an incredible mood to it. Now, I think he took this method into Star Wars, where he still didn't really know how to direct the cast. So he sort of brings his sort of documentary style filmmaking into that film, which is, I think, why that film is leaps and bounds ahead of all other sort of sci-fi fantasy of that time. Whilst, you know, things like Disney's Black Hole, for instance, and the original Battlestar Galactica, they were all coming around at that time, but they all felt very cheap, cheesy, and not real. And I think the way he did it, not only did he sort of pioneer brilliant special effects, but because he sort of kept this kind of documentary style filmmaking, it felt like you were witnessing it rather than it was being filmed.
Yeah, I never really thought of it that way before. Yeah, I'll have to observe it with a different eye, perhaps.
And then, of course, he never made another film until The Phantom Menace. I mean, obviously, he was involved with all the other films, but he never actually directed one. And I think when he came to The Phantom Menace, all he was really thinking about was, and in a way, rightly, because he had pushed the sort of standards of special effects and things so far, he just thought, well, this is fine. I can really build these films in post-production now. And he just went, okay, well, just kind of film the actors standing around, walking around, and I'll build it in post. And it didn't quite pan out in the same way. No. I don't think. I don't think that's a very controversial thing to say.
Yeah. I don't know, yeah. That was my point, though, what you're saying. Like, you know, he didn't make another film for... What was the last film he directed? Star Wars, right? He didn't
Star Wars.
So that was that 77, something like that?
Yeah.
And so in 22 years, whatever, 23 years, he directed no films.
Correct.
So, yeah, that's what I mean. There's a real shame. So he had all this promise, and I think that's what I mean, where he went down this kind of rabbit hole a little bit, I think. It would have been nice to see. Oh, you know, don't get me wrong. It's amazing what he's done. I'm not going to tell any director or producer what to do. You know, it's fantastic. You know, we get to see the fruits of their labour. But you just kind of feel, there's a little part of me thinks it would have been really cool just to see him do some lower budget stuff, you know, because he does have a real flair for certain things which appeal to me, I think. But yeah, that's just me being selfish, probably.
So, in summary, you forgot to cancel your Disney Plus.
Correct, yeah. But it hasn't turned out too bad, is my point. And it will be cancelled. Check in again whenever the last episode of Mandalorian is, second season. I'll be cancelling shortly thereafter, apparently. And okay, enough about me. What have you been up to?
Well, I've been editing a podcast. No, well, no, I really, I haven't been doing much else because, like we say, we're recording this pretty swiftly after the last one. So, yeah, I have been making the podcast. That's been nice. Anything else? Well, I'm continuing to digitize my physical media into digital media. I'm up to the S's in my CD collection. Oh my God.
So previously you'd spoken about your HD DVD collection.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it.
And Blu-rays. Are they all done now?
No.
Are you doing them all, including CDs, all in alphabetical order?
No, I just have a very short attention span.
You've moved to CDs, okay. You're on S.
I've moved back to CDs. This
I'm a big fan of the CD, by the way. It's probably my second favourite musical medium after cassettes. But you're up to S.
Yeah.
And how far through S? S is probably, I'm suspecting, is the biggest one.
It's a mammoth.
There's a lot in S. I can think of 4 bands instantly.
Yeah, upwards of 4. It almost gets to double figures. Yeah, but that's what I've been doing. You know, it's not that interesting. I don't think we should dwell on it. Okay, should we start talking a little bit about Lord of the Rings, the card game?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Because
Probably
before, but still, we're not actually going to get into the show. Don't be fooled.
Oh, goodness.
No, because before we do, I want to, because it's very fresh in my mind, I want to mention something from the previous show, not just the audio quality. There was one point. Now, I'm going to be very careful not to spoil anything in case people.
Without being spoilery.
Yeah, I'm going to be very careful not to spoil anything in case people didn't listen to it because they hadn't come to the quest yet. But do bear in mind there are probably some very, very, very minor spoilers for how the quest is constructed for A Journey to Roscommon in the next couple of minutes. But I promise I won't spoil anything to do with the actual plot. But we had a discussion about how you felt you had almost won the game and then you had lost it. And then we had a good laugh about that and basically it comes down to the rule that as soon as you put progress tokens on a quest card, that quest card is completed. And then at that point, you hadn't reached the requirements to complete the quest, so therefore you failed. And that's true. I mean, we stand by that. That's absolutely correct. But I think it's quite a good one for new players, just for me to revisit this for a second, because when I heard this back, I was thinking, well, actually, you could have sort of potentially chalked this down as a win. I mean, if you had physically put the tokens on the card and you were playing by the letter of the law, then yeah, absolutely, we were correct. You lost. You fool. However, what I do want to just point out is, well, if you haven't listened to it, basically, had needed to do something. Really desperate not to spoil anything. He had to do something with his characters before completing.
I needed an action window.
Yeah, you needed an action window, basically. And you placed the tokens on the quest card, therefore completing the quest and therefore failing the quest. However, what I wanted to point out was that after questing, which is when this happened, of course, because you're questing to put the progress tokens on, there is an action window before you add up your willpower and compare it to the amount of threat. So in theory, you could have beaten it there and then, because at that point you could have gone, oh, I'm going to quest successfully, therefore I can perform that action to claim the objectives. That's the minor spoiler. And therefore place the progression tokens on after claiming the objectives and therefore winning the game.
So that would equate to... by the way, bearing that in mind, I'm chalking that as a win now, officially. So would that effectively then be the same window where you perhaps might use, say, Faramir's ability?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. At that point when you want to sort of affect your questing or anything like that, where you would want to play some actions... so yeah, you've committed characters to the quest, and then you reveal the cards from the encounter deck, and then you're meant to do it before you add anything up, but let's face it, you're adding up the willpower versus the threat, and then you're going, okay, do I need to add any willpower?
You're adding up before.
Yeah, really, you are.
I mean, yeah, that's a bit of an unreasonable ask, I think.
It's before you compare your willpower to threat. So you go, well, I've counted the threat, I've counted my willpower, but I'm not going to compare them.
No mental arithmetic allowed. Goodness gracious, it's a big ask, that.
Yeah.
So I'm questing for 10, and there is 7 threat up there, but I must not figure out that that's a gain of 3. I must not do that. I must wait. Then decide to do an action, and then I'll compare. It's a big ask.
Yeah, so, I mean, like I say, we were correct. Like, as soon as those progression tokens hit that quest card and you complete it, all progress stops, and you must complete the quest and turn over the quest card and read whatever's on it. So, yeah, you might chalk it up as a win, but I certainly don't.
But the point is, I could have, just before I literally physically put those tokens on that card, I could perform actions at that point, play event cards or whatever I want, right?
Yeah, but you didn't, did you?
A draw? Once you start negotiating this position, you've lost, haven't you? No, it is a loss at the end of the day. You know, wasn't aware of a rule properly enough, and
yeah, but that's the thing. You were aware of that action window because you've done actions there before. You have played Faramir there. Absolutely, you've played actions there before. You just didn't do the action of to claim those objectives, and therefore you lost.
Yeah. But there is a good lesson though, because you just shouldn't treat things differently. You know, it's the same round every time, regardless of what the quest is or what have you, unless it's giving you some very specific instructions. That's different, you know. Yeah. So yeah, it's a good lesson, and it's good that you sort of discovered that afterwards, actually.
Yeah, I felt a bit guilty actually because I was editing it and I was having a good laugh as we were having a good laugh, and then I went, "Well, hang on,
the boy's an idiot." But you already knew that. Yeah. Don't assume just because I've been playing a while and I might sometimes sound like I know what I'm talking about on this podcast, but I in fact do know what I'm talking about. Do not fall into that trap.
Yeah. All right. Well, lessons learned for all of us then.
Yeah, that's it. I was talking to myself then, by the way.
Okay, so this episode is a non-spoiler episode, which was one of the reasons why I was treading very carefully then, and that was quite painful actually. But so we are going to be talking about some player cards, and we are going to be talking about all the spirit player cards from the first cycle, from the Shadows of Mirkwood cycle. So, well, not the heroes. We've already been over the heroes, so it'll be all the allies, attachments, and events from Spirit, and just giving your sort of general thoughts. And much like we said with the tactics ones, the reason behind doing this is because a lot of these cards do sort of join together. Tactics was because they were all eagle-based, and it doesn't take long to see in Spirit that it's Rohan.
You know what? I was really surprised that was the case when I put these cards together. I thought, right, what are we going to be talking about in this episode? And I put them all together, and I came to that realization that every spirit card in the cycle, bar one, mentions the word Rohan on it somewhere.
I think you mean Rohan.
Oh, well, thank you, John.
I promise that'll be
Is
the
that
last.
Like rawhide?
Yes, that's basically every time I see the word Rohan, I go Rohan, and I was about to say that'll be the last time I do it, and then I did it one more time. That will be the last time I do it.
Did they have wagons? They probably should have had wagons. Did they have wagons when they were travelling to Helm's Deep and all that? They must have had wagons, right?
They must have.
Maybe they didn't. Not enough wagons. That's something that they're horse masters at the end of the day.
They probably had. They must have had wagons because
even the hobbits had wagons.
Yeah, because like we talked about, Glaerwyn wasn't just carrying that instrument.
No, he was walking. Remember, he was. That's what we decided in the end.
Yeah, right at the back.
Yeah, out of earshot.
Yeah.
Bit further back, Lewin. Bit more. Keep
But
going.
it's dangerous. You'll be all right, mate.
Yeah, no living creatures coming anywhere near you while you're playing that.
Sing him a song. Okay, so should we just dive straight in? I say straight in.
I guess, is it worth saying from this point that one thing I've tried to do, and I won't say too much, but, there are things like last week, for instance, Eagles, or a couple of weeks ago when we spoke about Eagles.
Couple of weeks.
A couple of episodes ago, we spoke about Eagles, and then I hadn't really explored Eagles, as in putting a full deck together and really seeing, I guess. And then I came to a realization. I was actually really excited about this episode. So I thought, yes, spirit cards, they're the ones I know the best. They've always kind of, some weird way, been my favourite sphere. So it's going to be water off a duck's back. I'm going to love all this. And then I was really shocked when I looked through these cards and thought, there's loads in here I've barely ever played, if at all. And what it is, I've realised that I'd never gone back and done a Rohan kind of deck, if you like. Which was yeah, so that was a bit of a surprise when I looked at it. I thought it was going to be all my favourite cards in there.
Have you actually played this game?
Look, I've been winging it for 10 hours. I've done a pretty good job, I think. So I have used some of these cards, but not all of them, and most of them not in that much depth.
Well, actually, I think that's fair because I've also used quite a few of these cards, and some of them, there are a couple of real favourites in there, actually. But I also must admit, I've never built a dedicated Rohan deck, and I've certainly never put all of these cards together and gone, well, that's the game solved.
I think there might be one or two quests where this could be a really good thing to do, though. So, again, like I did with the Eagles one, I'm definitely going to try that with these at some point.
Well, I suppose we better start looking at some of them. Okay, well, let's start with the allies. I think that's always a nice place to start. And we have two unique named allies in here. Now, one I remember very clearly from the books. One I have very, very little recollection of. So we'll start with the one I remember, and that's Eamond. Now, Eamond is, by the way, Eamond from the books, he is Eowyn's father. So therefore, he was married to King Theoden's sister. I say I remember him clearly from the book, and now I'm struggling. Yeah, he's married to King Theoden's sister. He is definitely the father of Eowyn and Eomer, and he's a real Rohan hero in the books. I mean, I do remember that much.
Yeah.
So, Eamond, he is a unique ally. He's Rohan. He has a cost of 3. He has willpower for 2. He hits for 1. He has 1 defense and 2 hit points. So, he's not that pricey, and I think probably his stats sort of seem pretty reasonable. He's a bit weak, perhaps. He's Rohan, and he has a response. Says, after Eamond leaves play, ready all Rohan characters in play. Now I'm wondering if we should have come to him later, because we haven't spoken about any other Rohan characters.
I guess we've spoken about a couple of Rohan heroes before, haven't we? From the core set.
Yeah, Eowyn, of course. And
Theodred.
Dunhir?
Oh, Dunhir, sorry. Isn't Theodred
and
well?
Theodred. Yeah, Theodred, yeah, of course.
There you go, so we've got 3 of them. There's 3 of them.
Yeah. Okay, so that's pretty good. So you could
That's
actually, if you played an Eowyn, Dunhir and Theodred, there you go.
I've 3/4 constructed my next deck, haven't I?
So you know your heroes and one named ally. You're done.
Correct.
No, but that is quite powerful, isn't it? If you did happen to manage to build an Eowyn, Dunhir and Theodred deck, and then what was the stipulation with Eamond?
After Eamond leaves play. Yeah, ready all Rohan characters. So you can imagine sneak attack could be pretty exceptional with him.
Yeah.
That's one. Or if you're towards the end of a quest and you've got a whole bunch of people out there, loads of Rohan characters, allies, he could take one for the team, couldn't he?
Yeah, but he's also not that expensive. So if you did have 3 of them in your deck, I mean, you could only have 1 on the table at once. But if you had 3 in your deck, you could just let him get killed. and just ready your guys. I mean, I don't know if that's particularly economic. I'm trying to think what other...
It depends on the situation, doesn't it? I mean, I can definitely see uses for this guy.
I'm trying to think about it. There is more Rohan in the core set. Glaewin. We've spoken about Glaewin, but then Glaewin's in lore, so I don't know if that really helps you. But Glaewin's effect was exhaust Glaewin to draw a card.
Correct. Yeah.
So hang on.
Yeah. Oh, now you're all excited. You're all ears now.
So you could exhaust Glaewin, draw a card, somehow get Aemond out of play, ready Glaewin, exhaust him again to draw another card, as well as readying everyone else, of course.
Oh, I see. I like the way your mind instantly goes, because I was wondering where you were going with that. It was just purely to get as many cards as possible.
One more card.
For a mere cost of 3. But yeah, I mean, so if you look at this guy, I mean, so he quests for 2, and he's, I guess, fairly average in attack and defense, and only got 2 points. But the thing that comes into my head straight away is have him defend first. If you've quested a whole bunch of people and you're suddenly in a bit of bother in a battle, especially towards the end of the quest, perhaps.
Yeah.
And, then you can...
Yeah, sacrifice him for the greater good. But actually, that reminds me, I think, isn't Snowborn Scout is also Rohan, isn't he?
Yes.
And he's leadership.
Because none came from Snowborn. But if you did have Fairdred in there as well...
Yeah.
Then, he's leadership, so you can get your Snowborn Scout involved.
Oh, yeah.
So that works too.
Whew.
Yeah, good.
Who knew?
What are you going to do when you're ready for Snowborn Scout? What are you going to defend after he's done nothing? Because he can't quest either. Unless you had a Faramir.
Why is he exhausted? Why is the Snowborn Scout exhausted?
Yeah, exactly. The only time he'll be exhausted is if you... There was a situation which I mentioned weeks ago, one use for him is if you have Faramir, he can quest for 1. So that's just 1 more to whack in. Or he's a sacrifice. Basically, that's what it is, isn't it? For Snowborn Scout.
Yeah. Well, Snowborn Scout has 1 shield, so you can always sort of defend. If you happen to be up against some Black Forest Batos or or something along those lines, you could potentially... No, actually, I think they hit for 2, don't they?
Oh, I can't remember. There are some enemies that hit for 1, though.
It was a week ago.
We've moved on, John. We've moved on.
No, but there are some bats and some birds that do only peck and bite, respectively, for 1. So, you could defend with a Snowball Scout in the hope that he might survive. Yeah, this is a strange use for Aemond, that you go, well, if I can keep my Snowball Scout alive and then kill Aemond, I can get another use out of the Snowball Scout. Yeah, forget that, listener. That is rubbish. Do not follow that advice.
Yeah. No, I think the only situation would be is if you happen to have Faramir or something like that and you quest the Snowborn Scout, and then you can use him as a defender just to get whacked instead of somebody else, basically.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair.
Short notes on the artwork here.
Okay.
It's I very much like the artwork. He looks like a serious guy, doesn't he? He's a serious guy, Aemond. Look at him. He's not messing around. He's very Rohan.
Yeah, he's quite intense, isn't he? I mean, but he's seen it all.
Yeah, but he's the guy you want on your side.
Well, yeah.
When things get tough, serious times, you need serious guys. Serious guy.
I'm trying to remember when Aemond carks it, because obviously all of these characters die. I'll hedge my bets and say the Battle of the Pelennor Fields.
It's you know what? I was trying to remember. I remember his name from the books.
Actually, no.
But was he all? I couldn't remember much about him. Was he not already dead? Weren't they orphans? Because Theoden should have loved Eowyn like a father, because Aemond was already dead, right? Wasn't he? I thought.
Is that why when he leaves play, we ready or is that the theme?
Oh my god, that's so good.
If it's true, I mean, we might be making it up.
We might have rewritten.
Hang on, there's a bit of flavor text on the card. Hang on. It says, sorry, the reason I'm stumbling is because it's a very strange beginning to a sentence. I have not seen before, for you are young, but I have spoken with Aemond, your father, Aragorn, the Two Towers.
Hold on. Aragorn's old, and that's the bit where she's surprised how old he is.
Yes.
He was already dead. He died when they were children. Aemond died when Éomer and Éowyn were children. I can't remember their mother, but I'm pretty sure that's right.
Well, the mother is Theoden's wife, but...
Sister.
Sister. That'd be weird.
Royal families, eh?
Yeah, but then, so in that respect, yeah, sort of like that sort of ghostly and very sort of stern and serious artwork really does work well, especially and with the response. The only thing which doesn't really work well is that he's alive now.
Come on, leap of the imagination, John. Didn't you say that this game takes place essentially in between The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings? Right at the beginning.
Yes, well, it does, yeah, but it takes place between Bilbo leaving the Shire and Frodo leaving the Shire. In those, whatever it is, 17 years or whatever it is.
So, in between the beginning of The Hobbit and the beginning of Lord of the Rings.
No, sorry, when Bilbo leaves the Shire in Lord of the Rings.
Oh, right, okay. How long is that gap, actually? I can't remember.
It's quite a long time. It's years.
Yeah.
I think it's like 17 years or something. I mean, in the
Right.
film, it's 20 to 30 seconds.
Yeah. No, but you get the impression it's a long time, though, because he hasn't seen...
Yeah, you know it, yeah.
Bilbo's much older, isn't he, when he...
Yeah. Well,
But
but then he doesn't have the ring, you know. The ring is keeping him young.
That's true.
But, yeah, regardless of that, though, Éowyn is in this game looking pretty not a child.
Were those two separate comments, or...?
Yes.
Yeah, little leap of the imagination required.
No, that's
John.
fine. It's fine. But actually, we still can't confirm that he is indeed dead. I mean, we're not actually looking this up, which we could do. I mean, we have access to
we probably should.
resources, but I think it's best just to keep speculating.
Like the internet, which would take about 10 seconds to do. But no, let's go from our
all right,
terrible memory. I'm pretty sure. I think he's carked it. That's what I recall. Anyway, Aemond. He gets an endorsement from me until I actually start using him in a quest, and then I'll... Okay, shall we move on to...
No, we shall not, because you inspired me to look it up.
Oh, you have? You have used the wonderful internet.
I've used it, and it's amazing what you can find.
Right.
It says he was a valiant captain, and I'll second that. Éomer was often away defending the Eastmark against a growing threat of thieving orcs coming east from Mordor. It was said that he was also reckless, often riding against the enemy with few men. In the year Third Age 3002, he was slain pursuing a band of orcs towards Emyn Muil. How about that?
How about that?
Éomer was 11, Éowyn was 7.
There you go.
I mean, it goes on, but that's all we need to know.
There you go.
There we are. Okay, so he's dead.
So, to bring it full circle, thematically, that actually does work really well.
It's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing.
So good.
Wow. Okay, we better move on.
That's one card done. Shall we move on to Elfhelm?
Yeah, let's do it. And this should be easier because I know the name, but I couldn't even speculate about really what he does. He's a rider of the mark, I'd imagine.
Wasn't Elfhelm like Theoden's... Who was the one as Gamling?
Yeah. Oh, I love gambling.
Was he... Yeah, Gamling's a legend. Solid. But who was the other guy who got killed by your favourites, the Wargs? The Wargs.
That narrows it down.
Okay, so he basically, the guy who gambling took his role from basically his, what do you call him? Not his butler, his
hand.
steward,
His
his
hand.
hand. No. Don't. We're not going there.
It was a different time.
It was, yeah. Anyway, okay. Let's read out. So, Elfhelm costs 4. He quests for 1, hits for 2, 2 shield, 3 hit points. Rohan warrior, and his action is while Elfhelm is ready, he gains response. After your threat is raised, as a result of questing unsuccessfully or by an encounter or quest card effect, reduce your threat by 1. So that straight away tells you, even though he's got pretty good numbers, so he's useful all-rounder, this guy, he's obviously a good guy to, well, make sure you, if you're struggling to quest or what have you, or if you just want to have him in the background constantly, it's going to make a significant difference, isn't it? If you're doing a quest where you have a lot of treacheries, which might raise your threat or something like that, that could be really invaluable.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever really played him. I mean, I know you always have this thing saying that when it's just 1, you shouldn't discount it. It's really a tricky one for me because I try not to quest unsuccessfully, but it's not. That's the bit I shouldn't get hung up on. It's the encounters or quest card effects that do it. It's those occasional treacheries that are doomed, for instance.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, -1 of every doomed.
Yeah,
with that guy. I mean, that's pretty powerful.
That is pretty tasty because he's not that great a quester, so it's not a problem to keep him ready.
Yeah. So there you go. He must be the hand or the steward or whatever he is. Well, there is a particular word which I can't remember for it, but the guy who basically takes care of the king. So he's always fair ready.
That's true. Yeah, but I'm just thinking. So this one. So I'm because our spirit hero in this cycle is Frodo, and when he's damaged, you can raise your threat instead. But this wouldn't work with him because, as your threat is raised, but as a result of questing unsuccessfully or by the encounter or quest card effects, reduce your threat. No. So that means your threat's increasing because of something you're doing purposefully by your.
That's a hero card.
Yeah.
Effect.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. So it has to be done to you. You can't choose to do it. Anytime you choose to put your own threat up, you can't use this. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not completely convinced. It's that extra point of cost.
What do you mean? Sorry.
Well, he's 4, and that to me is that's breaking the barrier. I'm just comparing him to Eamon there.
Hold on, your barrier's gone down from 5 to 4.
No, okay, my barrier is always 5. My barrier is definitely 5. No, but it's that difference between Eamon and Elfhelm there. If I had to choose one named character to put into my deck, it would be Eamon, I think. Although he's a pretty handy defender.
Yeah, and attacker.
Defense for 2, and attacker. Defense for 2 and 3 hit points. So you would have him ready during the quest
phase.
Maybe. Yeah, he's the sort of guy. I think I'd probably maybe put 1 or 2 in my deck. I wouldn't put 3. He's one which is I would class as nice to have rather than need to have.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the quest, doesn't it? If you've got a quest which does have a lot of doom, does have a lot of treachery, which might increase your threat directly, it could be invaluable. But I think it really depends on the quest itself, doesn't it?
Yeah, but would you rather have 3 of these guys in your deck? I know the number of cards in your deck is immaterial to you, but
that depends. That depends too.
Would you rather have 3 of these guys in your deck costing 4, or would you rather have 3 Gladrium Greeting in your deck, which costs 3, and they reduce your threat by 6?
The answer is clearly both. I think, you know what? I can't comment too much because obviously this is just thinking through potential scenarios, and I haven't really utilised these guys properly in the deck, which I will do before the next episode. So I will say I'm going to put 3 Elfhelms in my deck. How about that? And then we'll see next time how that went for me. See if it went as well as the Eagles.
Okay.
Triple Elfhelm.
Yeah. I mean, the thing, right? Okay, actually, in all seriousness, because it's often a bit of a toss-up when it comes to putting like the amount of named characters or unique cards in general into your deck, because you could be just stuck with them in your hand.
Yeah, it's true.
But actually, playing out a spirit deck at this stage in the game, more likely than not, you're going to have Eowyn on the table.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that does mean that you are always going to have the opportunity to discard cards to boost her willpower. So it's less of a concern, I think. Okay, yep, all right. We'll put 3 of them in. We'll put 3 of them in.
Well, it's just for it's just for the likelihood of getting him, isn't it? Rather than you're not going to probably won't play maximum would be twice. Yeah, probably once or none.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. No, but it is likelihood of drawing for sure. That's why I always like to have 3 cards of 3 of every card in. But of course, if you're only drawing 1 a go and you keep on hitting Elfhelm, there's nothing worse. Not for him specifically. That sounds a little cruel.
What is worse, actually, is when the rider's hair is perfectly dry, but his poor horse is sodden. He must be wearing his helm, I guess, and that's why.
I don't know if that. I think that's product.
What, for the horse?
Yeah.
Just for horse.
These are very, very proud horses.
Well groomed.
This is Rohan.
Horse masters.
The horses are, they're half the job. Well, actually, tell you what then. Let's jump to another ally. Let's jump to a horse to prove my point. Let's jump to the Riddermark's finest.
Oh, I like these guys.
Yeah.
This is one I have used quite a bit.
Yeah. It's a creature. Well, it doesn't actually say horse, but there is a picture of 2 horses on there, so I'm guessing it's a horse.
Well, you're hoping that the Riddermark's finest wouldn't be like a goat or something.
Yeah, but it could be a worm. It could be a worm that you can't quite see. I mean, it's on the grass there.
That's true. They do look like very fine horses, though.
They do.
Must be said.
They do.
Look at that.
They're the finest. Okay, the Riddermark's finest. They are a creature. They are Rohan, and they cost 2. They quest for 1. They hit for 1. Yeah. They have no defense and 2 hit points, and they have an action. Exhaust and discard the Riddermark's finest to place 2 progress tokens on any location. Okay, now this is pretty tasty. I mean, because they quest for 1, but you could just immediately pay your 2. Like, if you wanted just to clear a location immediately before you do any questing or anything like that, you could just get these guys out and then just immediately exhaust and discard, get that location either out of the staging area or out of your active location, and then you don't even have to worry about it. But then if you didn't have to do that yet, you could still get them out. There's 1 extra point of questing each round. There's nothing to be sniffed at. So yeah, I like these guys.
Yeah, and even their attack of 1 can come in handy sometimes too.
Oh, it's an extra point of attack.
It's an extra point of attack, yeah. But yeah, like you say, I think there are certain situations and certain quests where, having that ability is just, it's a godsend, isn't it? Just get a location explored just straight off the bat. It can be a lifesaver, Yeah. So these guys often get a run out in my days. That's one that I have used quite a few times.
And it's a brilliantly cheeky card from the designers here as well, that you have to exhaust and discard it. So you can't just quest with them and then go,
and then use it.
I didn't quite get through that location, I will now discard it. You have to have kept them ready at that beforehand and then do it. So
that is, you're sending them off to that location to oust whatever is in there, aren't you?
Yeah.
But then that's it, they've gone. The horses have run home.
Weirdly, to explore it.
And then go home.
It's like, they didn't come back. Well, I suppose you better go there anyway then. But you're right,
these are the Riddermark's finest.
They're the finest.
They'll do their bit and then they'll go. They're not workhorses.
it's the finest. But why would you get rid of them if they're your finest?
Well, you'll use them again. These are really good, and they cost 2, so not mega expensive. Yeah, great card.
They're terrific. They're terrific. And as they are creatures, by the way, you could use Radagast to pay for them. I mean, that's just an aside because Radagast is still fresh in my mind, but I find it unlikely that you'd be playing Radagast. But if you did,
yeah, fair point. Yeah.
Use his resources. Okay, so who have we got next?
Shall we stay on the horse theme? Well, they're all going to be horse themed.
In Rohan, yeah. Let's do that. Let's do that.
No more goats.
I know.
Let's stick on the horses.
You've gone totally left field.
Okay. Let's shall we carry on with the allies?
Yeah. As long as it's horse themed.
Yeah. Well, there's 3 more allies, and they all feature horses. And let's go for the most horse themed, and that is the Westfold Horsebreaker. It actually mentions horses.
The word horse.
Yeah, exactly. So this has got a cost of 2, quest for 1, no attack, 1 shield, 1 hit point. Got an action, discard Westfold Horsebreaker to choose and ready a hero. So this one, yeah, it does exactly what it says on the tin. Obviously, it only costs 2, so you can get them out fairly quickly. We'll only quest for 1, and that's generally what I'll use it for. But you don't have to exhaust this time to do the action. So if you're really desperate and you're in a sticky situation and you need to have someone else to defend or to attack, whatever it is, then yeah, that's a situation which you can just discard and ready that hero. So again, it's not one I've used lots, but it has come in handy on a few occasions that it's been used.
Yeah.
Would it be worth then quickly jumping to one of the events which might link into this a little bit?
Yeah, do it.
And that is Astonishing Speed, which costs 3. And that's simply action until the end of the phase, all Rohan characters get +2 willpower. So something like that, for instance, you've got that event, then this Westfold Horsebreaker can quest for 3. Otherwise, it can always be questing for 1. But I think it's definitely got its uses. This card, I think it's worth the 2.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's not an event I've played much because I mean it's pretty powerful if you really really need to quest a lot. It's quite expensive. That I mean, it's weird. Because I think it's because I've not really put together a pure Rohan deck that I've not really looked at it, because it's like it's all Rohan characters and you go, well, yeah, I've only got a couple. But actually, yeah, I think it's a no-brainer to put in if you are building a dedicated Rohan deck for sure.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, well, if you think about Faramir, how good Faramir's ability is, and that's +1. If you've got a whole bunch of Rohan, this is +2 on everybody. But the real thing about mentioning that now was just really in regards to that Westfold Horsebreaker. In fact, it goes for all of these guys, to be honest. But especially this Westfold Horsebreaker hasn't got great stats. Only quest for 1. But, something like this can beef it up or whatever. So if just for the cost of 2, then you've also got the ability to ready a hero. You don't even have to exhaust Westfold Horsebreaker to do it. I think that's a pretty useful card.
Yeah, but you do have to discard him. There's a lot of discarding. There's a lot of, well, not necessarily discarding. There is discarding and there's leaving play. So, I mean, I guess that thematically it's great. It's these horses are riding in and out. It's a bit like the Eagles in its own way. But you have to sort of work out which ones you can discard, which ones you have to sort of let die. I don't know. It's because I've not really done a committed Rohan deck, like I say, that I haven't quite worked out yet how well they work together. I think we just have to put them together before our next quest and sort of see how they play. But I mean, I can see the potential for sure. I just I'm struggling just for a minute of seeing how they pop in and out.
I guess it's down to it only costs 2. So if you've got 3 of these in your hand, and you've got at least 2 spirit heroes, or if you do go with that Rohan kind of hero set we spoke about earlier, we're probably going to end up with 2 very similar decks.
I think so.
Mine will be about 74 cards. Yours will be 50 exactly. But we'll still have very different experiences. You mean you didn't play the Eagles as well?
Okay, so we have a couple more allies here. We have the escort from Edoras. He's Rohan, no surprise. He costs 2. He quests for 2. He has 0 attack, 0 defense, and 1 hit point. He is pretty weak. He is just a guy on a horse. And he has this effect. It says, while committed to a quest, escort from Edoras gets +2 willpower. Oh boy, that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, so questing for 4 all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's terrific. And then it says, forced. After resolving a quest to which Escort of Edoras was committed, discard Escort of Edoras from play. So once again, another card leaving play.
Yeah.
I think this is probably one of the reasons why cards like the Horn of Gondor were errated, where that used to be when a card leaves play, you gain a resource, and that got changed to when a character is destroyed, you gain a resource, because otherwise all these guys just popping in and out, Eagles, Rohan, it's like, I'm rich!
I guess these guys don't pop in and out as much as Eagles.
No, they just pop out. They just pop out.
Just popping out.
Where have they gone?
Shall I read the last ally?
Well, yeah, but what do we think about this guy? I mean, there's not that much to say. I mean, he's excellent if you need a real big boost of questing. I mean, but you put him in.
Yeah.
But what else are you going to do with him, really? He's kind of like a one-off booster, isn't he? Because he's almost... But this is where it gets difficult, because is he better as an ally, or is it better just to have sort of attachments and effects that boost your willpower? Because you can put this guy in, he'll quest for 4 once, and then he's gone, because you can't defend with him and you can't attack with him.
Yeah, I think you want to put him in. It's almost like an event, really, isn't it? But you want to put him in on a go in which you want to quest through something, I guess, and then just use his ability and blast through it.
Yeah.
I imagine. I mean, maybe there is something else I'm kind of not thinking of there, but...
Well, the only thing I can think of is he's pretty cheap, so you could just use him as fodder. If you knew you had a real nasty enemy out there, you could just go, okay, fine.
If he had astonishing speed as well, that guy's questing for 6.
There is something we definitely don't have on this podcast, and that's astonishing speed.
No, I think we do. It is astonishing.
Okay, well, so...
Moving swiftly on.
Indeed.
We have one more ally to go. And this is the West Road Traveller, which has a cost of 2, quest for 2, again, doesn't hit for anything, and no shield, and only 1 hit point. So actually exactly the same stats as the Escort from Edoras. And it has a response. After you play West Road Traveller from your hand, switch the active location with any other location in the staging area. Now, I haven't played this one that much, but just reading at this now, yeah, there is so much you can do with this. I think probably the first time I played through this cycle, obviously I've still got so much to learn now, but I had a really basic understanding of the game, I think, then. So I probably didn't think too much of this, you're just swapping out a location. But actually, I think knowing now what I know about the game, I can see loads of situations where that would be useful.
Well, straight off the bat is anything that's got a nasty travel effect, anything that makes you raise your threat or lose your cards or whatever, you just bypass that immediately.
Yeah, so that's one thing straight off the bat. Another one that comes into my mind straight away is you've got free progress on a location that needs 5 as your active location, but you've got one with a threat of 4 or whatever sitting in the staging area. You can swap them out. You can use things like Northern Trackers or what have you to get through that quest. It just allows for that manipulation of the locations.
Yeah.
So there'll be loads of situations where you could use this. So that's a one-off response after it's played from your hand.
Yeah.
So you could always do a sneak attack with that as well. Is that right? After you play... No, it's not, is it? It's not put into play. I get confused with the wording.
Yeah, but this is the confusing one. So you have to play it from your hand. So you actually play sneak attack, and sneak attack says that you put it into play. So no.
So this is only at the beginning of the round when you play that card.
Yeah.
that's the only time where you're allowed to use that response, and it's one-off.
Yeah, so just to confirm that, so Sneak Attack says, put one ally card into play from your hand, blah, 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 blah. So you couldn't do this with the West Road Traveller, but nor would you want to be honest, because why wouldn't you just pay to play it?
Yeah. I guess the difference between this and Escort from Medras is this West Road Traveller can then quest for 2 every single go.
Yeah, that's handy.
Subsequently, it's really good. Yeah.
Yeah. She's great. I mean, I don't know if they're all she's, but the picture is a she. A filly.
Yeah.
And the Rohan riding the filly is also a lady.
Is that a lady horse?
It's a filly.
It's a filly. Okay, I'll take your word for it. Yeah, I love the artwork on this one as well. I kind of like purple mountains, which kind of match the sort of purple shades that she's wearing there. That's very well put together. I love it. She's dressed for the season. There you go. She's setting the standard for Rohan. Come on, people. Smarten up.
Yeah.
Start to rival Gondor and such things. I mean, you've got a long way to go before you're matching the elves, but come on. That's a good start. Well done, West Road Traveller.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I do like the artwork on that one.
Yeah.
Okay, that was the last ally.
Okay, well, we're really flying through this. Okay, well, we have a few attachments and a few events. Nothing too crazy. But actually, we have one of my favourite and most used attachments. So I think we're just going to jump straight onto that.
This is going to be my one too.
Oh, okay. No squabbling, children.
This is going to be... Well, I'll let you read it out because it must be this one because it's the only thing that will get you this excited.
Well, it's a strange thing to be excited by, so I hope it's the same one. Otherwise, it's going to be a little embarrassing. Okay, it's an attachment, and it's called the Ancient Matham.
That's the one.
Oh, thank goodness!
It's the only one. It's the only card we're looking at today which does not mention Rohan, but it does mention Mathom. Still don't know what it is.
No,
but it's Mathom,
and this is an ancient version of that. Only costs 1. Oh, what a beautiful price! And it states attached to a location, and it has a response. After attached location is explored, the first player draws 3 cards. I mean, everyone knows that I love to draw cards, but in all seriousness, there isn't much card draw in Spirit, if any, in fact, until this card.
This is it, isn't it? Up to this point. Yeah.
So this is a godsend. If you like drawing cards and you like playing Spirit, and I like both of those things, 3 of these in every deck.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And the great thing about it is, again, if you think about it in conjunction with something like West Road Traveller or something like the Northern Trackers or the Lorien Guides, etc., you can, and it only costs 1. This is really easy at the start of each round to manipulate, and you can get those cards quite quickly, depending on the scenario and the quest, of course. But yeah, it's such a useful card. Yeah, I'm the same as you. I pretty much get 3 of these in pretty much any Spirit deck I'm putting together. If it's mainly Spirit anyway, that is. Yeah, just a terrific card.
It's a go-to.
It's a go-to, and I like the look of that Mathom.
Yeah.
I must look up what Mathom is. Is that a real word, or is that like a Lord of the Rings word?
I have no idea, but I do love the fact that the card we got most excited about. We've got all these cards with these beautiful horses and the Rohan, which are such a strong race of beautiful men and beautiful women, and we've got very excited about an old sack.
I'm not sure your description of the Rohan men and women was quite correct. You see more cheered in the graveyard, or something.
No, the Rohan, they're a noble, proud, beautiful race, are they not? The long blonde hair, men and the women.
Well, I get. It's all about. So basically,
it's horses for courses, quite literally, quite literally.
They're going to be more into their heavier stuff, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? I think they're rocking out a bit more.
Maybe that's why I like them.
Yeah, I think, yeah. If you're going to find someone in Middle-earth wearing an Iron Maiden t-shirt, It's going to be somebody in Rohan, I suspect.
Yeah.
No, great card, that. It's a bit of a staple, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay, so that's that one. I don't think there's much more to say about that. We both love it. And if you're playing Rohan and there are locations, put it in your deck.
If we're playing Spirit.
All right.
Because I'm the pedantic one, right? Actually, I am. But I don't tend to be that pedantic. However, I have called you up on that and your use of the, a, or neither of those things when it comes to the quests.
You've got to have a hobby.
I do. And here's one which you can potentially get wrong as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the other attachment in this set, and it's called Norah Stranger. That's got all kinds of potential to get that name wrong.
I am stranger.
Not a stranger I am means the same thing. I am Norah Stranger. We could do this all day.
Yeah. Why don't you read it out?
Yeah, I thought you were going to say one anyway. Okay.
No, I was tempted, but no.
Yes. This is a cost of 1. It's very simple. It's a title.
Mm-hmm.
And your title will be Norah Stranger. Attached to a character. Very simply, attached character gains the Rohan trait. So I think we'll speak about a couple more in a second, but for example, Astonishing Speed, which we spoke about earlier, which affects all Rohan characters. If you've got any other character which you want to also give Rohan trait, this is how you do it. Only cost of 1, and it can be part of the crew.
Well, Aemond, that we talked about right back at the beginning, a mere 2 days ago. We mentioned Aemond. And when he leaves play, you ready all Rohan characters in play. So
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're feeling really rich, you could play out Gandalf at the beginning, chuck on Norah Stranger, double Gandalf.
My brain is ticking now. I've never... You know what? No, there was one time. I'm trying to think if I've ever played an attachment on Gandalf. And I did once because I had to, but it still didn't work. I once used an unexpected courage on Gandalf because it was right near the end of the game, and I needed him to do 2 things to buy me a possibility of winning, but I didn't win. Well, I didn't win. But that was the only time I've done it. But yeah, that's smart, isn't it? I mean, you could... Yeah, that's the game, isn't it? This is what's so good about this game. You can... If depending on the situation, you can think things through and manipulate it. And if something like that comes off,
oh, it feels great.
Oh, it's so satisfying. We've only got 3 to go. Do you wanna pick an event?
Sure. Well, we've done Astonishing Speed.
Yeah.
Although I still don't think I'm going to play it. Or maybe I will. Yeah, no, I'm going to chuck them all together.
Oh, you must.
You simply must. Okay, I tell you what. I'm going to pick one. I'm not even really reading this through. I'm going to pick one purely for its cost because you know it's going to get my backup.
Oh no, I hadn't noticed that. We got the Gandalf cost.
We do.
Dun,
so
dun,
there's an event, that costs 5.
Ironically named.
We do not sleep.
And you're not going to be able to sleep after this.
Okay, so it's a spirit event, and it has an action, and it says, until the end of the phase, Rohan characters do not exhaust to commit to quests. That is pretty powerful, but pretty expensive.
All right.
No, go on. Convince me.
I've got a question. Before we talk about the power of this card, I have a question which I may have asked before. Right. Escort from Edoras, for example. Okay. When committed to a quest, Escort from Edoras gets +2 willpower. Forced, after resolving a quest to which Escort from Edoras was committed, discard Escort from Edoras from play.
Yeah.
Now, he will still count, even if you don't exhaust to commit, that escort from Medras will still be committed to the quest.
Yes.
If you've decided to commit, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so it's nothing to do with whether
No.
they're exhausted or not.
No. Yeah, because it's same as with Aragorn, that if you quested for Aragorn, you'd exhaust him, and then if you paid one resource from him to ready him, he's still committed to the quest, isn't he? You still count his willpower. He's just not exhausted.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Worth clearing up. Well, I think this is a tremendous card, which I've never used.
Get out of town. This is going in the bin. Oh, go on, sell it to me.
Until the end of the phase, Rohan characters do not exhaust to commit to a quest. I mean, what if how many times you've been in a situation where you've got a big battle going on and you have to quest and it's just a nightmare to balance those things out? You can use your entire army of people to fight and still quest with all of them for a cost of 5. So depending on the situation, again, obviously, I wouldn't use it if you've got like one ally out there. But... Or maybe you would, it depends on the situation. But that could be immensely powerful because you could, in one round, you could have a complete full-on battle and you could plunder through a quest hugely, both in one go. And that's why it's expensive.
Yeah.
You get to do 2 big things in one round.
It's an end game card, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess. Or end game, both you're trying to win a game or you're about to die kind of thing. Yeah, you could. Yeah,
both would be the end game, wouldn't they?
Well, hopefully not in the.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I think when I build my Rohan deck, which is straight after this podcast, I will be putting one of these cards in.
I'm completing a hat trick.
Okay, and we'll see. We will see if either of us actually play it.
You know what's going to happen. You're going to have wished you put it in, and I'm going to have all 3 just sitting there in my hand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Discard with Eowyn, discard for Eowyn, discard for Eowyn.
I must say, I do love the artwork on this.
Oh,
card.
Me too. No, the artwork's terrific.
How good is that?
That's fantastic. Yeah,
the inky sky at night. Look at that. Perfectly done. Oh yeah, beautiful artwork. Well done, whoever did that one. That's terrific.
Well, I mean, famously, horses are incredibly hard to paint and draw. So, yeah, well done on all the artwork on all these cards. It's really terrific stuff.
Yeah, must be said. As one thing that I probably don't quite mention enough is the artwork.
Yeah, mental note.
I have said it before, but it honestly is a really big part of this game for me.
Oh, yeah, no, it's terrific. Because also, actually, we didn't mention the artwork on Norah, My Stranger, which I actually also think is terrific. I mean, I don't understand the relevance, but that doesn't bother me. I mean,
well, you have a non-Rohan person getting welcomed into the fold there, haven't you?
Oh, and that's Norah.
Norah, My Stranger. Norah Maya is her name, and she is not a stranger. Well, she is a stranger. Norah Maya Stranger. Doesn't look like a Norah, I've got to say.
Yeah, but you don't know that when they're a baby. You don't go, oh, it's baby Norah. Yeah, but what if...
Who is that? Is that Aragorn? Who is it?
Oh, well, that would make sense, wouldn't it? Because... well, it makes sense, as in Aragorn did get around.
He's dark of hair.
Yeah.
He's got a sword.
Yeah.
And a horse.
Yeah.
Must be Aragorn.
It's Aragorn. Oh, Tolkien is very upset with us right now.
No, he's not. He understands. He's got bigger fish to fry, John.
That's true. That's true. Okay, good God. We've gone back onto a card we've already done. So let's move forward to one of the last 2 events. Do you want to pick? I picked that one. I picked the fiver. So you can pick one of the other ones.
Okay, I'm going to pick at random.
Oh, okay.
And what's come up? Ride to Ruin.
I was about to say, though, just before you go into that card, if you're picking a card at random, as we often have to do as a treachery in this game, you will be picking the best possible card to discard.
Yes.
It's beyond a joke now how many times I've had to discard 2 cards and it's Sneak Attack and Gandalf.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, or both your Gandalfs.
Yeah,
Goodbye.
because you go, well, I've got 2 Gandalfs, so at least it won't be both of those. Oh.
That is what happens.
It's the odds are ridiculous against that happening, yet it seems to happen every time.
When it comes to randomly discarding from your hand, how do you? I tend to just shuffle my hand.
I shuffle my hand and then
I cut them and I take the top one and that's what I do.
Yeah, occasionally I shuffle them and then fan them and pretend I'm playing a little magic trick with myself. And I go, I will magically find Gandalf and Gandalf.
No, but that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
No, I don't actually say that.
Yeah, but in your mind you say that, don't you?
No, well, in my mind I'm going, what are the chances of it being Gandalf again? Oh, well, typical.
One in one.
I mean, I have actually said out loud typical on many an occasion when I was discarding cards from my hand.
And that is typical of you.
Oh, and also the other words that come out are just quite simply, yeah, of course.
Okay, I thought we were going to have our first bleep
No.
on the podcast. Episode 11. Which is pretty good. There's been a couple of occasions, this happened the last time I played, where I've had to use a random number generator. I had to pick... There was one, and this is something we'll come to later, but basically I had a whole bunch of allies out, and it said, choose one ally at random. Half of them are like exhausted, half aren't. It got different damage on them, so you can't pick up the cards and shuffle them or anything like that. So what do you do in that situation? I thought the only way to is I just numbered them. I had like 12 out or something. I had to number them.
Which quest is
and then
that? I mean, perhaps we need to talk about this off...
It's from a later quest.
You have to pick an ally at random, which is already on the table.
It's from a later quest.
Okay, well, we'll talk about this later.
Anyway, we can talk about different ways of generating randomness in a feature-length podcast episode.
The last thing we need to worry about is generating randomness. We've got that nailed.
We were saying earlier about George Lucas, I'll just be natural. Right? Okay.
Someone needs to put the camera a long way away from us.
Yeah. I don't know, just fly natural. Do you reckon that was a little... Do you think that was a little mick take, either of himself or at George Lucas? When Chewbacca is flying the shuttle and they're trying to get through that old passcode. It's an older code, but it checks out. And he's like, I don't know, just fly natural. Do you reckon that was taking, from what you said earlier, was that taking the mickey out of
I mean, it could be. I mean, Harrison Ford was right there in American Graffiti, so he's probably seen it all the way through.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, confirmed.
Confirmed. It's official. Finally.
Okay, read the card.
Ride to Ruin. If you remember that. I picked this at random.
Yeah.
It's got a cost of 1. Action, discard a Rohan ally to choose a location. Place 3 progress tokens on that location. So, again, discard an ally. So you're losing somebody, but you're getting 3 progress on a location.
Yeah.
So, obviously, that's just a complete situational thing, isn't it? If your desperation to get through a location or take something out of a staging area or whatever is overarching, then yeah, that could be a really useful card, I should imagine.
Yeah, it's not bad because, like we said earlier, there's a few allies in here which don't necessarily always serve a purpose, but they are cheap. So you could, just thinking it through, if you've played them out because that's all you've got, you could play out an Ancient Matham onto a location, then play Ride to Ruin to get rid of that ally that isn't doing you any good.
John, the Snowborn Scout.
Oh, hello.
The Snowborn Scout. He's suddenly getting you 3 progress. He gets 1 progress when he comes in. He can get you 4 progress. Just with 1 Snowborn Scout. So that little fella suddenly looking like $1 million, isn't he?
Yeah, well, I've always loved him. But get the get the Matham on a location first. If you can really plan enough ahead, get the Matham out, play your Snowborn Scout out, get the progress token on that location, then discard. Yeah.
So for the cost of 3, you get 4 progress, 3 cards, and a potential reduction of whatever from the however many threat from the staging area.
Yeah, it's terrific.
That's a great combo.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Right, that's happening.
Right, that's good. That's in. Right, that's one. Write that down.
I won't remember any of these.
No. If only we were recording it. One thing I'm just going to just point out, I mean, this is quite obvious, but I guess it could be seen as an easily missed rule. So this has an action that says discard a Rohan ally to choose a location, place 3 progress tokens on that location. So that is its own action. So you can't then use that to discard the Westfold Horsebreaker, who has himself an action that says discard Westfold Horsebreaker to choose and ready a hero, and then do that action.
No, yeah.
Each action has to be played out fully before you can perform the next action. So if you were to discard the Westfold Horsebreaker, his action isn't going to trigger because he's already gone. However, just thinking it through, if you were so bold as to discard Aemond, that would trigger.
Because it's a response.
After Aemond leaves play, ready or Rohan characters in play. Ooh.
You see, it's all starting to... the brew is starting to come together. There are loads of possibilities. I think with the Eagles, similarly, when you've been talking about allies coming in and out of play and this kind of thing, it does open up a whole bunch of possibilities. There's probably loads I haven't spotted in the Eagles. And just spending this time now, just this few hours looking through these Rohan cards, you are starting to see the synergies between them. It's amazing just putting them together like this and looking through them. Suddenly you see all this stuff. I think looking at them all individually, this is the power of doing something like this, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's loads of stuff I haven't noticed.
Yeah, and also to repeat myself for about the 10th time, this is why we've chosen to do all the player cards from a cycle in one go per sphere, so that we can discuss these interactions and these synergies. Because if we were going per an AP, you would just go, oh, we've got another attachment and we've got another Rohan character. And then it would be easy to miss the synergies by the time you get to that last AP of the cycle.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think we've justified that now.
We're trying to convince ourselves, aren't we? Our approach is right?
Okay, we've got one more event. For the love of God, please read it out.
Okay, the last event, it's got a cost of 1, and it's called the Mustering of the Rohirrim. The Mustering of the Rohirrim. I want to say that one more time, 'cause it sounds... it feels so good to say. The Mustering of the Rohirrim. Search for top 10 cards for your deck for any one Rohan ally card. Add it to your hand. Then shuffle the other cards back into your deck. So 10. Yes, 10. That's quite a big selection.
Yeah.
So you'll...
That's like a seventh of your deck.
After 13 rounds, yeah. But that's a huge number. If you're after something, you'd be unlucky not to find what you were, looking
for. Yeah,
for.
Absolutely. Which actually makes me go back to the idea of only putting one Elfhelm in the deck, for instance, and just going, well, okay, I can play that and then just find it if I need it.
Right.
Rather than clogging up my deck.
Yeah, that's true.
With extra cards.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's nice. Who knew?
Who knew? I think because neither of us had played a specific Rohan deck before, because so many of these are obviously specific to Rohan. Yeah. I guess when we're putting other decks together before, we probably just brush these aside. But okay, that's a Rohan one to do. I didn't realise how many Rohan ones there were. It's this entire cycle.
It's the entire cycle.
Ancient Mathon, right? So yeah, I'm really looking for. Well, God, after what I said about the Eagles. But yes, I'm very much looking forward to putting this together now.
Yeah, me too. I'm very excited to do it. Yeah, great. That's terrific.
That was our brief overview of the Shadow of Mirkwood spirit cards. There you go.
No, but that's terrific. I really do think this could be a lot of fun to play. So let's. Well, we pledged you now, dear listener, that we are both going to put together a Rohan deck, and we will do the next quest with a Rohan deck. Well, certainly attempt it. We may not succeed, as Am did with the Eagles, but but we'll certainly give it a go, and we'll let you know how that pans out.
Yeah.
All right. Have you got anything more you want to say about these cards? Maybe you want to mention the artwork?
No, let's leave that for another podcast. We'll have an artwork special at some point.
Okay, then. So let's just move on to our regular sections of the show. We won't dwell too long as time is getting away from us. But we do have our fact of the week. It's our regular section of the show where we go through the fact one question at a time and see if they are still relevant or if they need discussing or if they all make sense. So this week's fact goes a bit like this. In fact, it goes exactly like this. It says, question, can a player use a response effect like the one on Eleanor during setup? And the answer is yes, responses can be triggered at any time they meet their specified prerequisite, including during setup. So I'm just looking up Eleanor now. I mean, she's the one who cancels. She cancels when revealed effects, but I'm just going to see.
Then you have to pick another card.
That's right. I've got it here. So it's response. Exhaust Eleanor to cancel the when revealed effect of a treachery card just revealed by the encounter deck. Then discard that card and replace it with the next card in the encounter deck. So yeah, basically, well, the fact is clear if you ask me. Basically, you can play responses as long as the trigger is met. So if it's a treachery with a nasty when revealed, if Eleanor's in your starting heroes, you can exhaust her to discard that card and reveal the next encounter card. I guess there's a couple of other heroes that would. I'm trying to think. Gloin has a response that when he's damaged, you give him a resource. So there could be a treachery or something that damages hero. I don't think that's very likely.
That can it could
During
happen.
setup, it could happen. It could happen. Yeah, well, look, there probably are other examples out there, and there probably certainly will be going forward, but just know that, yes, you can play responses on heroes which are on the table. I mean, you can't play any actions from your hand because you haven't got an action window, but a response from a hero which is on the table can be triggered.
I think the only other one that has a response like that we've seen anyway, in terms of heroes, is Frodo. When he's damaged, you can cancel that damage and raise your threat. Nice way to start the game.
Oh, yeah, but the number of times I've drawn a Doomed card straight off the bat, that's always fun. Oh, Doomed 4, you say?
Welcome to the game.
Yeah. Okay, anything more to say about that one? I don't think so.
No, it's pretty clear.
Yeah. All right, well, unless you have anything more you want to add to the spirit cycle from the Shadow of Mirkwood, please say you haven't.
Maybe, should we go through some of these? No, I have nothing more. I have nothing more to say. Apart from to say,
oh no,
I'm going to do it again. I'm very excited about putting together a Rohan and using it in the next quest. There you go. I said it. I couldn't resist. I'm sorry.
Well, okay, but almost as if the inevitability of discarding Sneak Attack and Gandalf, the inevitability of you having a terrible time with this Rohan deck has now been set in stone.
Disaster,
So next time will be another spoiler episode. We'll be onto the next quest, which involves climbing up some mountains, I believe.
It's for one that I have probably the one I know how to pronounce the least.
Yeah, hence the reason I just said it's to do with climbing up mountains.
You professionally and expertly skipped around it, and I just dived headlong into the trap. God, this broadcasting thing, eh? The hills of...
Nope.
The hills of...
Nope. Emin Mule, I think it is.
Oh, that's very good. Emin... How do you say the last bit? Mule.
Well, don't dwell on it. Just say it. Let it go out there. People think they've heard it correctly. And then we can wrap it up.
The hills of Emin Mule. Emin Mule. Emin Mole. Emin... I don't know how to say it.
Well, that will be your homework.
Okay.
In the meantime, I'll be playing The Hills of Emin Mule.
Oh, that was good. What he said.
Okay, but if you would like to get in touch with us, in the meantime, we have a Twitter feed at Late of the Rings. You can get in contact with us directly via email at lateoftherings@gmail.com. And we have that Board Game Geek thread, which, as always, there'll be a link for in the show notes. So with that, all it leaves me to say is thanks again for listening. Take care out there, and goodbye.
Bye.